Tom may or may not be joining us. He had an appointment at 8 o'clock. So it all depends on how that worked out, if he gets back home and gets the link from City Hall on time. So he may be with us.
Okay, so I think we're good to start then. So I will call this meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. And I will start by reading the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in a rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hadawandong and Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live on. Okay. So can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda?
Moved. Ray Borland.
I second.
Okay. I will call the question. All those in favor? Okay, that passed. And then can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes?
Again, moved. Ray Borland and Anna.
Second it.
So we will start with introductions. We will go around the room. So please say your name and why you wanted to join the Heritage Committee. Councillor O'Hare, if you wanted to start.
Sure, thank you. I'm Tim O'Hare, newly elected councillor to Thorold. Thank you very much for your support. I'm a past member of the Heritage Committee. I really strongly feel that heritage is a vital factor in the development of our city and in the preservation of our great past. I'm a retired teacher. I have over a quarter century of teaching experience in technology, meaning construction technology, woodworking, and I was head of technological skills in Toronto for my last 5 years. I moved to Thorold 4 years ago in search of a heritage home, and Anna, who's also joining us today, together with myself, own the Monroe House, which is a very beautiful heritage home that we're very grateful for being owners and protectors of. So I look forward to working with all of you. This is a very important committee for me, and we have a lot of tough work ahead. So I'll leave it at that, and away we go.
Perfect. Ray, if you would like to go next. I'm just going down the order of my screen.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Ray Borland. I forget how many years I've been on here, probably about 6 or so. No, maybe longer than that, probably about 12 years on the Heritage. I was also on Heritage Kitchener back in the day when Linda and I lived in Kitchener. We moved back to the area in 2004. We've both have instructed at Brock University, and in fact, I still do. And I will be leaving shortly to go and beat up on 20 other students.
Be kind.
Thoroughly enjoy this, and I would really like to push for to start looking at the city of Thorold in heritage districts, preferably the downtown area and the older part near Block 7, which would be nice to do. I have in the past been involved in Dune Village in Kitchener, setting that up as a district. Also been at Meadowvale, just outside of Toronto, when it was set up. Was there to be there for the opening, along with about 15 people from Kitchener. So, got a background. Thank you.
Winsome, if you'd like to go next.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to meet you. My name is Winsome Stepp. I am a senior market research director at a Toronto firm, And thankfully, COVID gave me the opportunity to work remote, and I got to move back to Thorold, where I grew up. And now I am the proud owner of the Carter Holland House in the Lock 7 area. So it's really good to be home, and I want to do kind of everything I can to preserve the rich culture and history that Thorold has to offer. So what better way than joining the committee? And I'm looking forward to working with you all and seeing what I can do to contribute.
Perfect. Joe Prytula.
Morning, I'm Joe Pertula. I've been a member of Heritage Thorold now for upwards of 25 years. Most recently, for about the last 6 years, I served as the recording secretary. I am, along with my wife, a proud owner of the Calcutt Walker House on Carlton Street. We've been in this house now for about 34 years. It was Pam Minns who kind of tickled my thoughts on joining Heritage Thorold. I have not regretted it. It was sad to see her retire, but we have had a fairly good committee since then. And we are going to be having quite a few challenges in the coming years, and we need knowledgeable people and people that are very passionate towards heritage preservation to work with City Council and the people of Thorold to promote the rich history that we have in this town.
Awesome. Eva.
Yes, well, it's very wonderful to be here this morning and to see all of your faces and get to know you a little bit online. A common theme for my professional career is that I practiced community development throughout Ontario. And it's rooted in a philosophy that people should have access to skill development, wealth creation, and well-being through collective action in order to generate solutions to common problems. My last employer was the province of Ontario, and they invited me to accept a regional consulting position focused on delivering the programs and community development services related to, and this is quite a list, culture, heritage, sport, recreation, some tourism, citizenship, immigration, seniors, and accessibility. I accepted the position in 1989 and worked until June 2022. I did spend some time in the Kitchener office of the ministry, so certainly know about the Dune Heritage Crossroads that you were speaking about, Ray. So when I accepted the position, basically I was working with municipalities, not-for-profit organizations, private sector partners, and with the Indigenous groups and First Nations representing the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples. I worked specifically with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and with Six Nations of the Grand River. Anyway, my interest in heritage has been supreme the whole time I've been working through the province of Ontario. And it manifested itself in 1985 when we purchased our home here in Thorold, and we love Thorold. Our home is known as the George Bouck House, circa 1855. Thanks for listening to me. I've got lots I would like to share with you. We can do that at future meetings, including some of the contacts with the ministry in heritage that perhaps might become very, very helpful to us as we go forward. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Thank you. Next, I apologize. I don't know everyone's name yet. Your username is showing up as TPSOH.
It's Anna.
Perfect. Thank you.
As you probably already guessed, if you don't know me, I'm Tim's wife. He has already told the story of us coming to Thorold very shortly after joining the Heritage Committee. And we both are extremely passionate about preserving and protecting our architectural and cultural past. And also, I think integrating with any new developments that might come our way to make sure that the city grows in the most advantageous way that it can and retain its identity and character. My educational background is a master's in history and English literature. My history background obviously makes me extremely fond of architectural heritage, and also the reason why we really wanted to purchase a historic house. And but that doesn't just limit itself to my own home. I am very much in favor of preserving our past, as well as working towards our future.
Perfect, thank you.
Not anything, but other things will come up in the future.
Megan, would you like to give an introduction?
Hi, I'm Megan Burbeck. I'm here at the City of Thorold. I'm a planner and I'm the staff representative at the moment for the Heritage Committee.
Matthew, did you want to do an introduction?
Sure. Apologies. Wasn't expecting that one. I'm Matthew Trenham. I'm the city clerk. I'm just sort of sitting in on this one. This is the first of our committees as we're getting going, just to provide some assistance to Sydney as we go. But you'll connect with me here and there throughout the next 4 years. So please reach out if you need me. Again, you can always email me at clerk@thorold.ca.
Awesome. And I am Sydney. I am the legislative assistant here at the City of Thorold, and I will be at all of the committee meetings. I will be taking minutes and sending the link ahead of time and the agendas. So any questions like that, feel free to direct them to me. So now that we're done introductions, we will move to selection of the chair and vice chair. So I will now call for nominations for the chair, and I will need a mover and seconder for each.
Sydney,
Yes.
may I ask, who are all members of the committee
Do you mean that are here today or in general?
in general?
In general, one moment.
There are some not here.
I think
Yes.
only Linda is missing at this point. Tom hasn't been officially registered, but will be applying to join us again.
Yeah, so as of right now, the members are Anna O'Hare, Eva Salter, Joseph Prytula, Linda Borland, Ray Borland, Winsome Steck, and Councillor O'Hare.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any nominations for chair? Joe,
I would like to nominate Anna.
may I have a seconder?
So,
Okay, any other nominations for chair? Okay, I will call a second and third time for nominations for chair. Anna, do you accept your nomination?
I do. Thank you very much. Now you've done it. Oh. I hope I fulfill your expectations.
Awesome. Okay, so I will now call the question. All those in favor of Anna as chair?
I think we already did that.
Then that passed.
I'm just going to refrain from voting.
Way to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so please join me in congratulating Anna as chair.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Now call nominations for vice chair. Anna,
I'd like to nominate Joe for vice chair.
can I have a seconder? Thank you. Okay, I will call a second and third time for nominations for vice chair. Okay, Joe, do you accept your nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I will call the question. All those in favor? And that passed, so that was carried. So please join me in congratulating our vice chair as Joe.
Great.
So I will now move for Anna to take over the rest of the meeting. Oh, yes, Councillor O'Hare.
Just a question. We don't have a position for treasurer, and I'm not sure, Joe, did we have a person in the past that was treasurer, standalone treasurer, or is that going to be a role of the vice chair?
I think what Sydney has basically explained is they're standardizing the committees. And I think, as I pointed out to an email to Sydney earlier, when that came about at the beginning of the last term, Craig put forward, he was our past chair, he put forward a position to the city for us to maintain the position of recording secretary and treasurer. The city obliged and allowed us,
Linda, come here.
they allowed us to move forward with that position.
I'll be
And
a few minutes.
what we also did at the time was we streamlined the position of treasurer, where the invoices from contractors that we had went directly to the city to shorten the length of time for payment period. So Tom really, as a treasurer, was no longer responsible for taking the invoices and passing them on to the city. He more or less kept track of what monies were left in our budget, so that he could report to our committee and we could look at projecting our expenses on a yearly basis. So it raises an interesting question here now, Tim. How does the finance fit in with the operation of LACAC now? We may want to look at something to spend money. We would approve that at our meeting if we had some expenditure, maybe signs or something. Our committee would approve it, but it's still got to be approved from council. So we would generally be given, we were in the past given the right to okay that expenditure. It would go to council, but that would just be a formality. So it's interesting what the setup is going to be moving forward where it comes to our finances now. Is that something that you might be able to answer right now, Sydney, or is this something you're going to have to look into?
I believe Matthew can answer that one.
Hi, everyone. So I don't know if I have a great answer for you right now, other than the promise to bring you an answer. I think we need to connect with our director of finance in terms of how that's being streamlined and what that process would look like. My assumption and how they're leaning to with some of the other committees is that it would be a matter of trying to project what some of those expenses might be earlier on in the budget year, and understanding perhaps, this we approve a larger scale as opposed to one-off. So generally speaking, this is how we intend to use the budget as a committee, have council approve that, and then there's a little more freedom for the committee to sort of do that. I'll be honest, I don't fully understand the expenses that this committee has had in the past, as this is our first interaction with it. So I'll connect with finance and try to bring some information back to the committee at its next meeting.
See, what we need to know is what our budget's going to be for the year, and what we did in the past we would sit down and kind of project what possible expenses we may have. Like some of them are really not attainable in that first year. Like we may say that we want to do 2 designations, and we know that our designations run about $4,000 to $4,500 each. And then what we've looked at too, going forward, is we've been doing history plaques that we've been installing on the front yards of some of the designated properties. So we say, let's try and do maybe 4 a year, because we know how much the stands are going to cost us. We know how much the signs are going to cost us from McGee. So these are like hard projections that we can look at, but then we may have some little incidentals that come up as the year moves forward that I don't think they're going to be extreme expenses. It may just be some type of an operating expense that we may incur during the season, but we know that the sign stands, I think, are $600 a piece. The sign itself, I think, is $100 or $200 from McGee. So this is what we need to kind of establish with our projection for the year when we ask for a budget.
It's Eva. Being new to this committee, is there any time allotted to the planning for the upcoming year of what it is this committee wishes to undertake? And would we have an opportunity to do that, for example, at the next meeting or subsequent? Because that's how budgets, right? The budgets follow the actions.
Sure.
So it looks like Megan might be able to speak to that.
So I'm not sure if I caught that correctly, but part of this meeting today, we will be developing or hoping to develop a work plan for the 4 years here. I'm not sure if that answered your question, did it?
Well, does the work plan normally address the kind of accomplishments that will happen on a year-to-year basis, or is it that whole 4-year period that we're looking at?
We've generally gone year to year. Because sometimes we may get the designations done in the year, or we have potentials that we're looking at, and kind of gently persuading the homeowners to move forward. It's not a given. We can say that, okay, if we want to put up 4 sign plaques, we just work with the city on that, like the works department, to ensure that that gets done. But the only other thing that we really look at is like a designation, and that is, it really isn't as easy as it sounds.
No?
I apologize for the computer glitch that I had. Out of some reason, I was locked out of the meeting and couldn't get back on, but everybody can hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I guess we're at committee business right now.
May I excuse myself?
Ray has to excuse himself because he has a class to lead at 11.
So Anna, I sent you the script for the remainder of the meeting. If you would like to go through that, I think Matthew might have had a point first.
Yeah,
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll just sort of advise. So as you work through the work plan, things you can consider certainly are obviously the work that the committee has been doing up to this point and how you look at continuing that over the next 4 years, looking at the mandate. With regards to the budget questions, what we'll do is we'll try and bring something back at the next meeting. It's an interesting time because once we have an election and all the committees stop and we try to start back up again, budget hasn't been approved yet. We only start budget tonight. So we don't have budgets really set yet. But once we have more of that information, hopefully for the next meeting of this committee, we can bring back some more concrete answers around what that budget is, how to use it. And again, what I envision is if you have a plan for the year, you could submit here's approximately how we would like to spend this budget for this calendar year. And once you have council's approval of that, you have a little more freedom to take those actions as a committee.
Okay.
If I can make,
Ray and I have not seen a copy of the new rules. We'd like a copy, please.
the
These are
terms
new
of reference,
rules, the way the committee's going to run and stuff. I need a copy of that.
Yeah,
the terms
I
of
haven't seen
reference.
it.
yeah, Madam
Are you
Chair, I
re-
believe that Sydney circulated something this morning, but if anybody didn't receive that, we can take note of that and make sure that it gets circulated again. And or if you need a copy printed, we could have one ready for you at City Hall to pick up.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on my email yet this morning, but I will check that after the meeting. And then if anybody didn't get it, then I guess they can request it from you, Sydney, right?
They're actually on the city website. If you go to our committee, the Heritage Committee, there is a link to take you to the terms of reference. They have been revised and updated. It's pretty straightforward. And that is something that Sydney did send out. So it is good for people to have a look at what is required of our membership. If I could make a suggestion on just going back to what Matthew was saying, like with the budget being prepared and that, Sydney, would it be okay if I forwarded the minutes from our last meeting to the members so they can see the structure that was laid out in those minutes and shows all the various different projects we had going on, and they can get an understanding? Because we were dealing with talking about potential designations. We had other committees that we linked with, the Friends of Beaver Dams. A member from LACAC was attending Friends of Beaver Dams meeting, so they would report back the restoration progress updates to the LACAC committee. I was a member of our Tourism Advisory Committee. We've linked with them through our websites, which is an ongoing project that hasn't been completed yet. So I would report back from tourism to let the membership know. So the old agenda that we had and what we had on the minutes would give the members here an understanding of what we're looking at and how we can move forward. Can I do that?
Mr. Chair, I don't see a problem with that. No, feel free to send those
And then it'll
around.
give them something it'll be food for thought when they come back to the next meeting.
Yes, I believe the most recent minutes were included in this agenda on the full agenda that is on the city website.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the most recent minutes in front of me, and if you hadn't brought that up, Joe, then I would have, because there are various projects that we were working on until last summer, our last meeting then, and there's a lot of things there that haven't been completed and of course have to be continued.
Yeah, there was a lot of ongoing discussions on what we were actually going to be doing and some concerns that had to do with future development projects that are on the radar for being a concern of this committee in terms of heritage protection.
As far as I am aware, there is also an invoice outstanding to Sarah King, who had done some research on the Front Street property of the Summit Tavern.
Right.
And I spoke with Sarah in the fall, and she said she hadn't been paid yet for that, but she said she had submitted the invoice. Now, I was not aware of that, but we should check up on that. And if that is the case, then we have to make sure that that invoice is paid to Sarah.
We also have to finish off our website updating with Mark Kawabi, and we were hoping to have that completed by the end of the year. We kind of got blindsided with the committees dissolving so early in the year. We thought we were going to run to the end of the year. We were getting some updates. We had a 50% down payment paid towards that project, and we were hoping to have the balance $1,800 paid by the end of the year. Unfortunately, that wasn't done, so that's going to be an expense out of this year's budget that we're going to have to look at.
Yeah.
Can I speak to that? I'm continuing to work on that. I don't know if you can hear me. Anyway, I'm continuing to work on that, and I only have I have most of the pictures taken, and I've contacted Mark a couple of times, but he's not gotten back to me. So I will be more persistent in getting him to help me get the pictures that I have over to him, so that he can update the website. It won't take him long to update it, but I need to get in contact with him, and I've contacted him a couple of times. He knows I'm waiting, but I will be more persistent in contacting him.
All right.
Well, perhaps
The few pictures I have to take yet, I thought I would wait till the spring, till the leaves have budded on the trees and stuff like that.
I have taken a whole, but I wasn't aware that you had actually gotten around to taking pictures, Linda. I have taken a whole bunch of pictures myself, not of all the properties. There were a few that I'm missing, but maybe some of the ones that I have will fill that void in your list. And the sooner we can get these pictures over to Mark. I've also had trouble getting in touch with him and getting answers on some of these issues, but we really should get this website going and get that moving.
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 pictures of almost each property.
Yes, Tim?
Right.
You're muted, Tim.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, you'd think I'd be used to this by now. Still not yet. I'm wondering if we should create a pool of pictures, because Linda, I know you have some, Anna has quite a file as well, and then we can search through them and find the best pictures. We did send some pictures off to Mark as well, just to get his perspective as to what he was looking for. Still haven't heard back from him. That's prior to the Christmas holidays, but hopefully we'll hear back and we can make sure that what we're going to provide is exactly what he wants. So perhaps we can create a file together with your collection, Linda, and I know what you have as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
I have a short list of what I haven't got yet. One is your property, Anna and Tim, because I didn't want to take it with signs up in front of
Yeah, that was one reason too why we didn't. The election did play a bit of a role in
Slow this all down a bit, yeah.
in the slowdown of taking the pictures, as did leaves on the trees, because on some properties you just can't see the house for the trees. So
That's true.
obviously, for heritage purposes, it's important that we can actually see the structure and not the beautiful landscaping around it.
Mhm.
But yes, let's get that done and off to Mark, and then really put a bit of pressure on him to get this website finished so that we can get it up and running.
Yeah.
Okay. Now with further, Joe, you mentioned that the main expenses we'll be looking at are designations. Apart from the website, we have a few properties on our heritage list that would be quite important to designate. And one of our mandates for this coming term will be to work on those homeowners to be more amenable to the idea of designation. Some people are very nervous about this. They think they won't have any control over their own property anymore. There will be multiple things they can't do. That, of course, is not true. There's really quite a small amount of limitations that you have if you own a historic home that is designated. And we just have to make that clear to homeowners. I think it would probably also be a good idea to just generally think about ways how we can educate not just owners of historic homes, but the public in general about the importance of our heritage, both on various levels. I mean, obviously, there's the aesthetic factor. It just makes a city more attractive. It gives it character. It just gives it more beauty than if you have sort of the bland kind of buildings that look the same in every city. So if you have characterful buildings in between that, it just gives our city a much more attractive look for both future residents and visitors. And that is not just an aesthetic advantage, it is an economic advantage too, as well as an advantage. We have to think in terms of sustainability in view of our climate crisis and our, pollution and waste crisis. So preserving existing buildings isn't just about preserving their beauty, it is also about protecting our planet. And, on these terms, we might stir some interest in heritage as well.
Okay, Anna, if I could just respond to 2 points that you've made there. First of all, about what we're looking at for designating. I think you may have been offline there temporarily when I talked about this, but I'm going to forward the July 5th minutes to the members here so they can go through our minutes to see what issues we've had going on and references like the Fernie House,
yes.
Houses like 24 Vine Street that we knocked on their door, gave them a letter introducing ourselves, asking them if they may be interested in looking into development or designation. So the members are going to get a look at this through the minutes. When you're touching on educating the public, I think what we need to look at and get back into it, if you recall, just before the pandemic hit, Craig Findlay and Denise Landry, who was in the planning department, were going to put together a presentation that was going to be delivered to council, to educate our council on the importance of heritage designation. And unfortunately, because the pandemic hit, it put that project on hold. And it would have been really important to have it delivered because shortly after we lost the John Brown House as our council, every member that was sitting on the last term voted against LACAC's request to protect that piece of property because they did not understand the difference between history and heritage. So I think this should be first and foremost on our agenda. Besides looking at our budget and future projections, I think our first project should be to reinstate that initiative. Anna, you and I could reach out to Craig. I think he'd be more than willing to give us some guidance on what he was looking at putting together as a presentation. And you know, this is what we really need to look at. We've got 75% of our council sitting today that was on the last term. So these 6 people we have to target. I don't know about Henry, what his position is, but at least we've got Tim on council now to browbeat them into understanding what Anna is trying to promote. So I think that should be our first project.
Yeah, and I'm completely on board with that. I think we should pick that up and work together with the planning department to.
Yes, and Megan too.
Yeah, yeah. Megan, are you up to joining us in this?
Yeah, so for going back to the agenda for today, I'm just trying to write down, it sounds like we've been having general discussion of what you guys have been doing in the past, but moving on to the work plan, it's important that when we're talking about the work plan that we kind of have things written out clearly, who is responsible for jobs, how people are assigned to roles. You guys have a lot that you've been working on in the past. That sounds like a fair amount of you are previous members that are wanting to continue those projects moving forward, but it's potential if there's new members here, making sure everyone's on the same page of what projects are going on and if these projects are still wanting to be done. So some of the main headings I've kind of picked up on is you're wanting to work on your website. It sounds like you're wanting to have photos on your website. Earlier, Ray mentioned wanting to talk about districts over the next 4 years here, talking about designations annually, educating the council. Those were some of the 4 main themes so far. So it's maybe talking about how we're assigning people to those tasks, and then making sure maybe, I don't know if you've had in the past shared file folders, so maybe that I believe it was Linda and Anna have photos, maybe we can have a shared file folder for minutes, things of that nature, the photos, so that everyone can kind of see what has been done, what's needed to be moved forward on. For that education, it sounds like, I believe Joel mentioned Anna and you could reach out to Craig. We could definitely work towards council presentation, and I can assist where you guys might need. So that's kind of the themes I picked up on so far.
Yeah.
Chair,
Eva?
if I can just add another fairly important activity that I believe needs to take place. There has been a change to the Ontario Heritage Act, and the act is basically very closely related to Bill 23. So we need to be aware as a Heritage Committee exactly how that will impact the kind of story we're telling about heritage. I mean, getting into heritage conservation districts, I have skimmed through the act, and there are some things that we need to be aware of. So I think a priority that we want to put on our agenda, on our work plan.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm happy to take whatever role is necessary.
That's wonderful.
Okay,
Tim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Eva, that's a great idea. Maybe perhaps for next meeting, you might want to bring a little bit of a summary to the members to illustrate what's going on with the Heritage Act and the correlation with Bill 20. I think that would be very rewarding and very useful for us.
I can do that. And also just to let you know that I've gone back to the ministry to find out who the ministry folk are that we can take, well, we can ask if they can participate in the education process because they are the experts and they are seeing things on the ground in lots of different communities.
Yeah, that sounds great. For further, the way this, in terms of work plan and goals for the term, I think we already have a fairly large list here. Obviously, there's no details yet. Those would obviously come up as we open these issues up further. In terms of designating specific buildings, as we said, people will have to be approached. But we should put together, as we just talked about, a general outline of what we want for the next 4 years, how we have to deal with the new regulations due to Bill 23. We all know that will make our work a lot more difficult. And thank you very much, Eva, for your input there, and your help with this will be greatly appreciated. I don't think any of us have as much insight into that as you with your background. So that's wonderful to have that connection. And in terms of assigning roles, I will be very happy to work with Joe and planning to prepare a presentation to council just for a general educational review also, and of course Eva's input into that will also play a large role, because we do have to think in from a slightly different perspective now. And website, I assume that you and Ray, Linda, will be dealing with that as you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so anybody who would like to take on, and Eva, did I miss a?
Go ahead, finish your sentence.
No, I'm.
Okay. Something I do wish to make everyone aware of. One of the most important projects that I was involved in, it started in 2003 and it's still ongoing, was making and ensuring that culture was viewed and accepted by municipalities as the fourth pillar of sustainability. So wealth creation and sustainability. The other three pillars are economic development, environmental responsibility, and social equity agendas. So those are the four pillars. Unfortunately, I was never able to make any presentations on four-pillar planning to the city of Thorold, but there are currently 75 municipalities representing 77% of Ontario's population, where councils, where the municipalities have approved culture as the fourth pillar. So that whole argument about the value of heritage conservation and heritage designation is right inside of culture as the fourth pillar. And I think it would be of great interest, if not importance, to also share this concept with council, because they're connecting with other municipalities such as Waterloo Region, City of Waterloo, the Heritage Resources Center. These are municipalities that have adopted culture as the fourth pillar. City of Toronto, City of Hamilton, little tiny ones. I can provide the whole list if you are interested in seeing that.
I would absolutely support that. What about,
I'm sorry?
the others? I mean, it makes sense if we are basically promoters of heritage preservation. We are promoters of culture, and it goes hand in hand. And if there are initiatives in other cities that make culture very important, a fourth pillar of the structure of a city, then why not Thorold? And yes, Tim? You're muted.
I'll get it eventually. I just wanted to point out that, I believe Matthew had a question, but he seems to have, he still has, you see that little hand signal up there?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Matthew. I didn't see you on the screen, so
No problem. No problem. I just wanted to sort of mention with the way some of the discussion was going as well, Madam Chair, that towards the end of this year and into the beginning of the next year, you're also going to see council start to work on its strategic plan for the next 4 years. So that's something that you want to be considering as you're trying to put things on the radar of, the overall strat plan. How does your committee and this work fit into that area?
Okay.
Apologies, I've got a kiddo home with me, so you might hear her in the background.
That's okay. Well, thanks very much for making us aware of that, and we will definitely keep that in mind and on our radar. Yes?
Madam Chair, may I make another suggestion?
Yes.
I have taken the opportunity to go through everything associated with heritage for the city of Thorold. And there are a number of areas where, because of the change to the Ontario Heritage Act, there are changes that are needed in those categories that the city of Thorold is reporting on as it relates to heritage. So what I would like to suggest is that maybe a couple of people go through that and identify what are the priorities here in terms of bringing up to date the status of that particular category. What I'm referring to is Heritage Thorold. Down the left hand, there is a column of probably 13, 14 different categories. So just making sure that we identify those that are most critical in terms of updating. Just to let you know that right now, the province is looking at updating the toolkit that, we were all so accustomed to referring to. Because of the changes to the Act, the toolkit is being redeveloped. So it is no longer the go-to document that it once was.
Okay. All right, so I'll be happy to go over the Heritage Act. Is anybody else going to want to go over it as well so that we can exchange ideas?
Mm-hmm.
Great, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So is this it for the work plan, or am I missing?
I think
So,
there could probably be some further discussion at our next meeting. I had suggested, I'm not too sure if you might have been offline at the time, but I'm going to send out the July 5th meeting minutes to everybody, and they can see what we still have outstanding.
Yeah, well,
this is all going to be incorporated into our thoughts on how we're going to move forward at the next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that I have those minutes in front of me, but there's members who don't.
Yeah.
And but there are smaller things like review of heritage inventory that is where planning items are outstanding. Some of these have been going on for years. They're not particularly important things, but it would be nice to finally just get those off the table.
Yes.
And then we don't have to deal with them again and again at every meeting, as we have been doing for years with some of these.
Yes.
And so let's clear that stuff. Let's have a look at it at the next meeting. Maybe everybody has the list in front of it. We can again put it to planning. Planning will, as far as I understand, this should be put to council through planning, and then they can make their decision, which really isn't anything major with most of these things. And we can get this off our list so that we can concentrate on larger issues that will come up over the next 4 years.
Mhm.
Linda?
Probably you all know this, but the city has a list of all the properties we've designated, but they also have a list of older properties that could possibly be designated.
Yeah.
And that's quite an extensive list as well. It's about a 3-page.
Yeah, well, that heritage inventory actually will be basically cleared with, from what I understand, within the next 2 years, unless these buildings on this list are designated. So obviously we can't designate all of those, and obviously not all of them might warrant designation, but we have to look very closely at that list, see where a designation is possible and desirable, and if possible, get that in before time runs out.
Can
Yes,
that list
Lisa.
please be sent? Can you send that list around? The heritage inventory,
It's on the
It's on the
website.
website.
is it?
Yes.
And what, does it have a special name?
Yep. It's basically just, we have 2 lists. That one is the potential heritage. No, this one, yeah, it's potential
Okay,
designation.
gotcha. Then I've looked at that. Okay.
Yeah. And this was done by Brock University students back, I'm thinking sometime maybe in the 80s.
Wow.
So it might give just a little 5 or 6 word description of the type of house that you're looking at, 1.5 story siding over clapboard, you know, an approximate circa date, the address. It is pretty extensive.
Hmm. Yeah.
And there's a lot of potentials in there too.
Megan, did you want to speak?
I think Winsome has her hand up.
Oh, Winsome, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We look similar, dark hair and glasses and turtlenecks today. We're matching. I'm not sure where this fits in either with the planning presentation or the presentation you want to work on with planning, Anna, or if it fits in with the 4-pillar planning. But a lot of the research I've done with municipalities show that like aspects of culture and heritage are directly related to overall satisfaction with the community that you live in. So I can pull you know, comparable metrics from different municipalities where this shows that it's important, and we can kind of see where that fits in, just to kind of, you know, validate our case that we need to preserve our heritage and community.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of studies show that communities that have a lot of culture and heritage are generally more conducive to contribute to a better quality of life. And that is certainly another argument in favor of heritage.
Yeah, absolutely. So if if it's helpful, I can get like recent data from just average citizens of, you know, neighboring municipalities to kind of support that even further.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Great. Yes, Tim?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. This is a question for Matthew. just wondering, Matthew, if there is going to be any carryover, seeing as we don't have a treasurer at this point, if there's going to be any carryover of budget money that was unused or unspent in the last term to this term on top of our budget allocation.
So through you, Madam Chair, I don't have an answer for you right now, but I think that's part of what I'll bring back to the committee from the treasurer, just understanding what the city has and how that budget's going to go forward. Additionally, just in comments to the overall work plan with that, you know, we'll take into account everything that's sort of been said today and come back at the next meeting with something that tries to put that to paper, just to give the committee something to discuss a little bit further. And then once the committee's happy with that and the budget piece, again, hopefully by that time we have a budget that we can speak to as well. But either way, I'll have information on carryover and, you know, what the availability is for the next year and how that's going to work with the finance department. But that will then give the committee a chance to kind of review and decide what some of those, you know, aspects going forward will look like and get it on the council agenda for approval. And then you can really start working on these projects.
Right, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. And does that complete our work plan for the term discussion? Or does anybody have something to add? No? Then shall we move on to the 2023 committee meeting schedule? Suggested is the last Tuesday each month at 10 in the morning. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do we need a motion for that, or can we just informally decide that that will be our meeting schedule?
I think we can decide it by consensus.
Megan?
I can speak on that.
Yes.
We would need a mover and a seconder for the motion.
Okay, then let's have a motion to decide on the last Tuesday each month at 10 o'clock in the morning. Linda, can I have a second?
So moved.
Joe? Okay, everybody in favor? All right, that's carried. All right, so last Tuesday in the month, 10 o'clock in the morning. So our next meeting will be, I think, the 28th. Is that correct? Of February? I think it's the 20th. Is it the 28th? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, it is.
All right. Now, I've actually one more thing with the committee meeting schedule. I've seen that 10 meetings are scheduled. So I see there's no meeting in April and no meeting in August. Any specific I assume that the either clerk's department. Yeah, Megan.
Through you, I can speak on that one. It's because the terms of reference currently say that there is only 10 meetings in a year for this committee. If that is something you guys do want to change, that could always be brought to council if you would motion that, or we could keep it at 10 for now.
Okay. Does anybody have an opinion on that? Are 10 meetings all right with you? Or Joe, do you see a reason why we should have one or two more?
I think we should stay with the monthly meetings that we've had currently in the past.
Yeah.
If that is acceptable to the
I
rest.
find a 2-month break an awful long time in between meetings. We have sometimes in the past eliminated a meeting in August, for instance, if a lot of people weren't around, if we wouldn't have gotten quorum anyway. But generally, if it's all right with the clerk's department, I would like to have monthly meetings. I think it's important for us to just keep our momentum going and also exchange ideas at these meetings. Will we have to put a motion to council in order to have, yes, Megan?
I believe Megan or Matthew can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a motion would have to be made to modify your terms of reference to meetings every month. And then if you guys approve that, it would go to council for their approval.
Okay, Matthew, is that the way it works?
That's correct. You also have the ability to call special meetings is how it's referred to in the calendar, but essentially you could just call additional meetings as needed as the chair. So for the time being, if you wanted to just call those meetings for those months that are missing in your current calendar, you could certainly do that. And perhaps at the end of the year, when you're looking at setting your schedule for the new term, or sorry, for 2024, you would then pass a motion that says you meet monthly and that amends the terms of reference at that point.
Okay,
So
so shall we do
absolutely,
it like?
yeah.
Yep. Sorry. Shall we do it like this then, Joe, that we call special meetings for April and August?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. Do we, can I have a motion on that we decide on that?
I don't think that's really necessary because it is in the terms of reference that,
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
we can just say, we'll, at the end of the March meeting, we'll have a special meeting in April.
yeah, that will be your call.
Yeah, okay, I will do that then. All right, good. Do we have a roundtable discussion? Linda?
Will these meetings be in person, virtually, or a combination, or what?
From what I understand, it's Megan, are there any resolutions on that, whether the meetings will be virtual for now, whether there might be a change towards the summer? Any?
I'll let Sydney answer that.
Okay,
So as of now, we are planning on doing them virtually because we are able to record the meetings and share them with the public, which is the main factor of us wanting to do them virtually. It might be a discussion in the future, but as of now, they will be virtual going forward.
yeah. I think in the present situation with the new strains being around, I think that's the safer way of doing it. Obviously, it would be nice in the future if we could meet in person again. It's just a completely different atmosphere than having to do it online. But for now, they will be virtual. Okay. By the way, I think I called you Megan before, Sydney. I'm sorry about that.
No worries, that's okay.
Anybody else? Joe?
Sure, I just like to add something, and it's this will give people some food for thought, but we do have a designated property that is coming up on the radar that we're going to have to keep an eye on, and that is Trinity United Church. Apparently, the congregation is financially strapped, and they gave notice to the Thorold Community Theater that they will no longer be able to use the facility for their performances as of April. The congregation is looking for another church that they could join with. So with them being unable to pay their bills to the United Church of Canada, it will revert back to their ownership. So we're going to have to plan, I believe, maybe getting in touch with the local congregation to see what the future holds for the building.
Yeah.
It's obviously not going to have a congregation again in the future. So having been a designated building, this is going to be a challenge for us.
Yeah. Well, as a designated building, it's a challenge for the city too, and the owners, but you know, let's look into that, what the future could be for that, and bring that up at the next meeting maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Eva?
This may seem like a silly question, but I have been asking friends who live in Thorold, do you have a map of Thorold? Because I'm not clear in certain areas where the boundaries exist between Thorold and Pelham, for example.
Yep.
Is there a map of Thorold, a detailed map that will make silly people like me know, okay, here are the boundaries?
Well,
Through the chair,
yes,
through the chair, there's some on our website, so I'll try and see if I can get a circulated one, and you can reply back whether it's one that you were kind of hoping for, if you were hoping for something of a different quality or not.
Yeah, just making sure that the street names preferably are in place so that you can see, okay, on this side, on the west side, this is Thorold, on the other side, it's whatever.
The existing maps are confusing, and you don't always know exactly, especially if you're on Roland or Holland Road in that area, where is it still Thorold, and where does it become Pelham? I completely agree, but yeah. So we'll look at the city maps and see whether those are more detailed, and
That would be great.
yeah.
I need that information too. I'm being confused as to where the boundaries are, and I
Okay.
need that information too.
Okay. Megan, are those maps available on the city website?
So I just mentioned I'm going to send an email to all the members. I'm going to try and find a map, and then you can reply back whether it's something that you're interested, like it's a quality that you were hoping for, and maybe provide detailed comments off the map I send you, and I can try and work maybe with GIS if we don't have one that works to maybe get one maybe a little more helpful.
Okay, great.
The Niagara website maps are too confusing. We need a piece of paper. A published one.
I'm old school too. I like a map in my hand. So,
Mhm.
but yeah. Okay, anybody else with comments? No? Then I guess we'll reconvene on February 28th at 10 o'clock on this site. And we'll discuss, Joe and I will discuss some of the things we have talked about. And if anybody would like to get in touch with me, you can do so via email, and I can also supply you with phone numbers in case you want to talk to me. And most of you live in my neighborhood anyways. Eva, I think you're the only one who is a little bit more out of the way. But that, you know, nowadays is not an issue, obviously. Okay, so shall we adjourn for today?
Yeah.
Okay, then thank you very much. Oh, Joe, you wanted
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm new at this. Motion to adjourn. Can I have some? All right.
It's okay, Madam Chair. You actually don't need a motion. You can just, once business is
Okay.
complete, you can just adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
Thank you
good.
very much.
You have the power.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody.